Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 20th edition of Art Power Hong Kong's online talk. I'm Zaneta Cheng, the editorial director of #Legend, and I'll be moderating today's talk. Please also welcome Jeannie Wu, the director of HART Collective Limited, Clarissa Tam, senior marketing manager of Swire Hotels, and Tiffany Pinkstone, marketing director of the Sovereign Group and the director of the Sovereign Art Foundation. So today we're going to start off, I guess, this talk with a very broad question. When it comes to sponsoring the arts, corporate partnerships are now a mainstay. What is the value that these types of sponsorships bring for the community and for the health of the business itself? Tiffany, maybe you could start us off.
Sure. Thanks for that. I guess maybe I should start a little bit letting you know who Sovereign are. I think sort of a lot of people on this forum might have already heard of the Sovereign Art Foundation, but maybe not so much about the corporation that's actually really behind the foundation and how it got set up. So Sovereign's basically a trust, pensions and corporate services provider, which basically helps people set up their companies, administer their trusts and pensions and asset protection. So talking about today, I sort of really wanted to link all of this back to our brand vision, which is to help our clients achieve their aspirations. And I think this can really be expanded to include all of our stakeholders involved in Sovereign. So our clients, but also our staff and the communities that we serve within the 17 jurisdictions that we operate in. So we very much operate like a family, and it's about bringing people together, which really highlights the values that we have as a company, and art plays a really big component of that. Howard Bilton, our chairman, has always been very passionate about art. He's an avid art collector, and this really shines throughout our offices with support to local artists and their communities. I guess we set up the Sovereign Art Foundation 18 years ago, which was actually when I joined the company. So might be showing my age a little bit here, but it's, you know, I joined the company to do PR and marketing, but also very importantly to launch the foundation. And Sovereign Art Foundation started in Hong Kong with really the main aim to bring art to the people. 18 years ago, there was very little access to art, very few galleries sort of along Hollywood Road. Things have changed a lot since then and continue to change, but the idea then was to really make contemporary art more accessible, and so we decided to set up the annual Asian Art Prize. So through this, artists are invited from around the region, with the top 30 finalists being exhibited here. There were very few public art spaces, and we wanted to bring art to the people. So I think back then there was sort of a real perception that there was very little interest in art, where I actually really think, I say perception because I think it was more to do with the lack of exposure and accessibility to art. So that's when we partnered with organizations like Swire and Henderson, and sort of went into shopping centers where Hong Kong people love to spend all of their time, and sort of brought art to the people that way. So our very first exhibition was actually in Pacific Place. But then we worked with Henderson sort of way back in the day, sort of, you know, and sort of with IFC, as well as Hong Kong Landmark and Rotunda, but obviously our most popular exhibitions have to have been at HART Hall, which you'll hear a little bit about later. That was just great because it brought a whole new venue to Hong Kong, right in the center of Hong Kong, to be able to view art. So we set up a public vote prize really to get people engaged, and it's always fascinating to see the difference in behavior once you approach somebody and you know, they're kind of looking around the exhibition, you kind of go up and you give them a voting form and you ask them to have a look and vote for their favorite artwork. They always kind of start getting really serious about it and definitely become a lot more engaged in the artwork and in the exhibition. So we also set up the Make It Better program that provides expressive arts workshops for vulnerable children in Hong Kong, using power of art to build confidence and improve communication. And outside Hong Kong, we've partnered with NGOs and supported their arts therapy programs for various community centres around the region. So as you can see, sort of from this, sort of art has played a very big part in terms of our commitment to the community. And within our brand, it started as a passion from our chairman, and it's now sort of a big part of what actually really makes us also stand out within our industry. Yeah.
Amazing. And perhaps Clarissa, you could tell us about Swire and the work that they do.
Yeah, sure. So my role is actually specifically at Swire Hotel, so business unit within the larger Swire group. Of course, Swire Properties, for example, has been sponsoring Art Basel for the last few years, as well as involved in a lot of other art initiatives at different levels, supporting artists at different stages of their career, and bringing art into local communities. But for hotels, for us at hotels specifically, I'd say the way we support art is really about bringing art into public spaces, or spaces which are a bit more personal than, say, the White Cube, and which are also frequented by people who are not necessarily art lovers or gallery goers. So, for example, I'll just share my some quick images. So, for example, certainly, is this working? Okay. So, for example, at Upper House, this is just one example, sculptures or artworks that really are very site specific, because our intention is about creating an experience that is not really about, okay, looking at a specific artwork, but creating a total experience for the people who are in the space. And apart from that, we also, of course, are quite involved with hosting events, such as speaker events, especially at the Upper House, which are really great gathering moments for the community, whether it's really people, artists, designers, as well as people who are simply interested. And it's a chance for them to get up close. Up close is also the event series name, but literally it is a chance to get more intimate with these thought leaders and to discuss together in a more casual, informal setting. And also answering, Zaneta, the other part of your question about what's the value to the business, for us as hotels, and it's really crucial for us to create spaces that are memorable, that leave people with a real emotional experience, and art is a really crucial part of that. It's something that connects people and adds an extra layer of magic, I would say, to any space.
Thank you, Jeannie. I see you nodding enthusiastically. Yeah. Can you tell us more about how HART does that then?
Yeah, because Clarissa just mentioned about experiences, and I think it's very important thing for HART to use experiential programs, projects, happenings to engage the public as well. So give you guys some background of HART. We are a subsidiary of Henderson Land Development Company Limited, and our founders are Christine Lee and Vicky Lee. Both of the founders gave HART the spirit because they are the leaders who demonstrate the best of teamwork and partnership. I think Christine offers all the strategies in developing HART, and also Vicky always keep the balance between ideals and practicality of all the projects and programs that we want run. And so our key major project is the HART Social Studio. And it is not quite like an art residency, but it is also not just artists or creative talents co-working space. It's really hard to define it now, but basically we aim to foster collaboration and community value through a sustainable culture of creativity. So you can have a sense of it as square the screen. So, oops, you guys, here. So here you can see a video showing a glimpse of our studio. We have a big terrace. We have now over 20 creative talents working in the studio, and we are located in Kennedy Town. And so all of the creatives now working in HART Social Studios are from different backgrounds, and is a very distinct feature of our community, because we aim to have different peoples from different generations working on different art practices, and also taking different roles in the creative industries to give insights to each other. And so for them, I think we evolved from having like just about 15 of them, and now we already have like 20 something of them. And it is the key major thing that we work at HART now. Yeah, so regarding sponsorship, Tiffany just mentioned about there are prizes at our HART Hall that we sponsored last year. Is amazing. And also it is a great example to tell people about our partnership and sponsorship program as well, because we value our partners' effort in making things happen at HART Hall, and we take the advantage and opportunity for our community members to learn from such partnership. And Art Prize is a very important happening in the art industry, because it offers a very rare opportunity for Hong Kong public as well as professionals in the field to understand Asian art and as well as international art. And the artists shown in that occasion, I think it offers a very good educational opportunity for us to do audience building. And it is not just one entity's audience building, it's about how each partner can take advantage of it to grow our community.
I think building on to what Jeannie was just sharing, I think that is quite an interesting role where corporates can play in broadening the audience and the community for art or creativity in general, because for corporates, our audience isn't the collector's audience, but something much wider. So actually, for us, the objective, say the business objective, aligns actually very well with actually bringing art, supporting art, to bringing it to the community, the wider audience.
Actually, I want to get to that in a little bit, or maybe we could get to it now. Given that you wanted to engage the community, have you seen an increase in community involvement and a deeper cultural engagement through these initiatives? And I know when Tiffany was talking right at the very beginning, when you started your Pacific Place cooperation, you said there were very few places, public spaces for art. So have you seen that change over the years? Where and how so?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess just to kickstart this, I mean, I think it's been amazing in the way that Hong Kong has transformed itself, I think, sort of over the last few years, in terms of the art space, has just been great. And I mean, as I said, when we started, you know, I mean, even when we started our prize, I think we had like 150 entries. We did like a gala, well, you can't really even call it a gala. I think we had like about 100 people in a restaurant in Chinachita, like in Star Street. I was literally struggling to like put a projector up and stuff to show the artworks. And obviously everything's become a lot more sophisticated since then. But I guess you know, with the onslaught of the auction houses like really playing a big role here, sort of the art fairs coming into Hong Kong, I think it really showed that there was an interest in art here and people were really keen to do it. And I think the roles that especially the property developers play in Hong Kong is really key to all of this as well, because, you know, they're the ones that have the venues. It's like, you know, I think when we were talking about this all before, it was quite funny because you guys have the venues, right? Like I don't. So it's fantastic that then there's something, but I think you see that now where a lot of the people that do have venues are looking at using those venues and utilizing those spaces to really present art, support the arts community, and I think also very importantly bring Hong Kong artists to the forefront of that too, because that was also really lacking, with support for local artists here. And I think, you know, companies like Swire and Henson have just done a really great job in terms of really trying to bring that to the forefront for the Hong Kong community to experience.
Yes. So I guess in terms of talking about local patronage and bringing artists to the forefront, revitalization and spotlighting otherwise overlooked spaces and talent seems to be one of the key tenets of corporate art initiatives. And from what I've heard, each of your corporate entities have realized and translated their support in different ways. How did each corporation basically define and determine which areas to regenerate, and how do you choose correct projects such that you can bring out, brand purpose, brand storytelling?
Well, say the Swire group, Swire properties per se, they're long are, well, I shouldn't say we're part of the same family, of course, but our parent is involved and really dedicated to long-term projects of transforming neighborhoods, really guided by the principles of placemaking and bringing in art and creativity as a key component of that to transform these areas and connect people together. So if I may, I'll also just share a more recent example briefly. So actually, Zaneta, you were talking about overlooked spaces, and this is the MTR, what do you call it? Like exit leading to Pacific Place 3. And actually recently, Swire Properties worked with Julian Opie for a really fantastic installation here with figures kind of representing people from daily life all throughout this very, very long tunnel. And it is kind of a space that you wouldn't have expected art to be in, but once it's there, it really adds something, a wonderful quality to the space. So, so at least for us, in terms of overlooked spaces, I guess it is for art specifically. It's kind of overlooked spaces within the developments where we operate and what we do with those spaces. In our hotels, we love to work with artists to create quite really artistic interventions into the space, such as, I have to stop sharing first to switch to another picture. One moment. So for example, here is an example at our one of our hotels in Chengdu, actually. So the space itself is really fantastic. It's incorporates Qing Dynasty architecture into the space. But recently we worked with the artist Jeannie to create a very modern installation with his signature LED lights in an environment which is actually quite old, and to create this interesting conversation about what is heritage. So I think responding to your question about utilizing space, utilizing overlooked space, this is for us a lot of time it's a more micro way of looking within the spaces where we're already active, and these little spaces and corners, and how can art come in and create a new surprise, something exciting in that space.
Are there any responses from people or from the community that you've sort of had access to, and you sort of understand the feedback for how these projects work out?
I think people, because they come here not expecting to see art, or even they come here and they may not think of it as art even, because they're not coming to it with that mindset. But it creates a reaction of curiosity, of something that triggers them to take an interest and wonder, what is this about? Like, what are these screens? And that's a really, that's actually a great reaction, the kind of reaction that we want to generate, just curiosity and engagement in their environment, asking questions.
I see. I found it quite interesting because during my research for this panel, I read a piece on Forbes where they said that actually corporate sponsorship for arts and culture leads to increased spend, and it is very profitable for a business to invest in art and culture. And I wonder if for such a large corporate entity such as Swire, is that the case for you as well?
I would say the way we invested in it isn't the way that a collector views investment in art, because we're not valuing it in the art in that way. But there's a lot of value in the intangibles of the community connection, and of course also communicating our brand values, our brand story.
Thank you. Jeannie, can you tell us a bit more about how HART uses their spaces?
Yeah, I would say it's more about the psychological spaces that we explore, as Clarissa just mentioned about curiosity. So a lot of our projects and programs and very interesting collaborations we make with local creative talents. We utilize different spaces, in particular HART host our studio, to launch very different kinds of programs in order to build our community, because we see a sustainable culture of creativity. We need to, make very strong connections, not only with professionals, but also to try to build a good audience basis for people to do more appreciation and engage in all of our contents created by our partners as well as us. So, for example, you can see here, you can see we have Curatorship Incubation Program.
Which I'm participating in.
Yes, thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah, because the composition of the participants for our programs, we always look for diversity. And by diversity, we don't think only professionals in the field should be engaged in our programs, and we should offer opportunities for people from all walks of life with different ages to also engage. So actually Carissa's classmate, one of them is 18 years old student. Yeah. So, and also last year we launched Household Gods at HART Hall, and we have engaged quite a few professionals and also maybe retired people and as well as students from the general public to be our docent. And the docentship program that we run is a long-term thing, and we won't just offer them one-off opportunity to engage with the HART community as well as to do knowledge sharing. So for all these events I'm showing you now, in particular in May, we have Space Shuffler launching. It's a presentation that we run parallel with a showcase that Hausians making use of the opportunity to show their artwork as well as to network with professionals in the field. We also engage docent and all of our community members who are the past participants in all of our past programs to re-engage in the dialogue and to also to mingle with our Hausians to explore more about art practices. Yeah. And this Heartbeat course is another example, because consistently I launch these kind of courses to find talented local young art administrators and art managers in order to support local creatives, because it's very important for these young professionals to support artists as well as other creative talents in the field to do their career building as well as to focus at their art practices. Yeah.
And from there, I'm interested to see, because I remember actually interviewing you after Household Gods a couple months ago, and we were talking about your docentship program and kind of training everyone. Have you seen them then continue along in this field?
Actually, I referred one of them to be a full-time in one of the institutions and at Tycoon. Yeah, so one of the company here, because yeah, but I think this candidate went through a few interviews and it's not easy, but I'm happy.
Yeah, and I remember you saying, because you were so keen on building an art community in Hong Kong. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about kind of the landscape that you saw before there was HART, and why you thought you needed to build a more tight-knit community?
I see the gaps throughout all these years of what is lacking in the industry. One of them being the lack of communications and opportunities to network between different creative industries, and also artists doing different kinds of art, graduating from different institutions. They don't usually find opportunities to, do knowledge sharing with each other. So that's why HART Social Studio serves that purpose. And our community composed of graduates from different institutions, as well as some self-taught talents. Some of them are architects, some of them are designers. This is very important. And I think before HART Social Studio, I would say there are very few sustainable model going on in the industry for people to have some kind of platform to do ongoing research and ongoing dialogues with each other for their career building developments, and also very important to explore opportunities for collaborations and partnerships.
I see. And I guess one question to ask is, with all of these initiatives that everyone's been planning, how have you had to adjust or adapt your initiatives given the pandemic? I'm sure it has affected many an initiative and many a plan. So if you guys could tell us how you worked your way around it, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess for us, I mean, it all started last year, really. We were supposed to exhibit our 30 finalists at Art Central in March last year. And I think that was all meant to go right up until about a few weeks beforehand, right? So it was just, everything got catapulted. I think what actually saved us last year and prepared us for this year was that we auction all of our finalists' artwork. So we usually have this big gala, 350 people, which, that doesn't work. I don't even know if that's ever going to exist again. But it's just, we had decided that we wanted to put a pause on that. We'd just finished our 15th year and we just thought, well, let's end the big party on a high, and let's try to think of other ways, like, again, adapting and adjusting and seeing how we can engage people in a different way within the auctions and stuff. So I think the fact that we weren't already planning a gala last year and we were trying to think a bit more creatively, that already saved us. If not, we would have been well involved in getting all of that set up and suddenly had to do like an about turn. So we were fortunate enough that when social distancing measures kind of subsided a little bit, sort of May, June last year, we actually had a window and we got to exhibit the artworks. And then that got shut down very quickly as I think we hit our third wave or something of COVID. So this year we decided that it was really important that we were going to continue on and plan for the 2021 edition. So albeit again, sort of in a different way. So we have got the exhibition, we have got our 30 finalists. So we're very, very excited about that. And I think everybody on this panel is probably also very excited about May, because I feel like things are opening up a little bit in Hong Kong again. And it's come in good timing where we can actually really come out as a community to support the arts. So we're going to be having our exhibition in Central again, 9 Queen's Road Central this time, support of Chelsfield. No big gala. Instead, we're going to have a series of small scale events that will be for 16 people each time, with a little wine tasting that's all socially distant. So we'll basically have like 4 little tables of 4 each night, which is a little bit exhausting, but at the same time, it's really nice because it gives us an opportunity to really give our patrons and our clients like a really up close and personal experience with the art. So that's going to be really, really nice. And then after that, we move on to Art Central. So we're going to be able to exhibit this year at Art Central, which is really exciting. But again, that would be quite nice. And I'm sure the organizers aren't so happy about it. But I know for one, like, I'm quite excited to be able to walk around these spaces with quite a lot of space around me to really take in the art. It's usually, you know, going to Art Basel or Art Central, there's so many people. It's I'm quite looking forward to kind of being able to take it in my own time. So yeah, we've had to change the approach, but we're still very much there.
Hey, Clarissa?
Yeah, I agree absolutely with Tiffany. So there's a need for, well, firstly, a lot of postponing of plans, postponing and postponing some more, and then seeing what happens next. So a lot of scenario planning. And apart from more intimate events, I think another aspect has also been working to create more content around the program itself, to better communicate it to people who are unable or who haven't yet been able to go to the physical experience. So really putting a lot more effort into thinking about how to tell the story of what the work is, what the artists and creators were thinking about, and delivering that in an exciting, beautiful form.
And for my studio, I think for the past year, when it hits us, I think the housings gave us a lot of inspirations as well as encouragement, because when they work in the studio, they are really hardworking, and it seems that they never stops. Even though they are closed down and stuff, they are so hardworking, working on their own projects, preparing for, you know, reopening, and also to engage small groups in activities. And I have to really give credits to, in particular, 2 Hausians. One of them being Max, is our partner. He actually worked out, you know, this makes sense at Square Mile Plus, at one of our properties in Dai Quoc Choi, near Olympic Station. And you know, last year he launched a lot of workshops there to engage the public in one of our old showroom, and we just keep on going. Like, even if it's cancelled or small classes, we just keep going. And another Hausians who realize activities in a studio in small groups and also remotely is Cheng, who launched Holistic Sounds, because is a sound focused experience to encourage people to make peace internally and also to encourage people around. And he launched Holistic Sounds since the first outbreak. And non-stops, and it earns a lot of credits and also a good feedback from the public, and now we still have it in the studio.
Amazing. So everyone, if you have any questions, please start sending them in, and I can ask them for you to our panel. But actually, I have another question. Mine is, what happens, or is it a good thing if, say, your art initiative overtakes your corporate entity in renown? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Like, what do you feel about this?
It's a bit of a tricky position, especially
Yes.
where I sit, but it's but I don't know. I think they all go hand in hand. And I mean, you know, the Sovereign Art Foundation, in terms of the business that we do, it's obviously much easier and nicer to kind of, you know, sort of explore marketing opportunities through art rather than sort of, you know, financial services. So in order to try to attract attention, sort of one's definitely going to get more than the other. But you know, it's really nice. It's been the way Sovereign's done it. It's been really nice how they've actually really been able to really integrate it through all of our offices. And actually, if you don't mind, if I can go through, just going back to one of your earlier questions, that was really, I think you guys were talking about the space and overlooked spaces, but then also part of that was also about talent. And do I have a minute to show some pictures?
Yeah.
I thought I could show some of our other offices, because, you know, for us, it's also about getting all of our staff engaged and providing, you know, a great workplace for people to come to. And you know, what's quite interesting with us as corporate services providers, it's we've got so much art up on our walls. A lot of our clients also get really confused when they come into our office, because they're just like, am I in the right place? Like, didn't really expect to see all of this stuff. But here we've got, hang on a second, just some of our offices. So here in Dubai, can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here in Dubai, we've got artists like Sarah Rabah and Hilda Hiari, which is just really nice. But then we've got offices in places like Mauritius. So, you know, we're really about also supporting the local artists. So, you know, this is artwork that's done by an artist called Ashke Sibalak and his father. And, you know, I feel like these are talents that we can sort of explore, that a lot of people, like, you know, in places like Hong Kong or our offices in the UK and stuff, wouldn't often get to see. South Africa, this is on the left, there's an artwork by an artist called Mbongi Buthelezi. He does amazing work sort of using old plastic bags. We have like really quite a big South African art collection as well. So, you know, sort of looking at talents that people wouldn't maybe often think about. We're also going to be launching an African Art Prize with the Norval Foundation, which is going to come into effect next year. So that's going to tie in hopefully with the Cape Town Art Fair in February next year and run very much similar to our Asian Art Prize. In Gibraltar, which is our main office, we've got, you know, a whole lot of commissioned works by the late Geordie Fuller, who used to be based there in the south of Spain. Singapore, it's there's Frank Stella there, so not really Singaporean, but it's we do also have Min Wei Yang, sort of a lot of Southeast Asian artists that are sort of housed within our Singapore office. Then of course Hong Kong, you know, people come into our office, and anybody who's been up here, I think Jeannie, you might have come up here, it's like our walls are just full of art. So we've got, you know, Chow Chun Fai here. It's for us, it's really about supporting the local artists where we have the offices. They can see Map Office there. We've got those little pigs that belong to Constantine Besmatny. But then, you know, having also more established artists like Conrad Shawcross there, and Sam Jinks opposite Map Office. We've got Gilbert and George. I think on behind reception, we've got Shazia Sekanda. So yeah, it's just, it's nice. I think it's exciting to kind of be able to explore all these other areas and really get the message of the art within the branding of the actual company.
Amazing. Does anybody want to follow up?
I'd say it's great. It's really lucky for your teammates as well to have all these, to be surrounded by art in the office. Really makes a big difference to the.
I think that, like we all know, it just makes people happier, right? Like.
So there's a question from Sylvia here. She'd like to hear more specifically if there's a specific artist or art form that each speaker is most excited about and why. And she loved the last round of discussions on what's becoming more possible and what each speaker might be excited about next. So what's coming up for you on your radar?
I would like to see some kind of artwork that is really showing collaborative spirit. So I would say it is not something that made by just one artist. And the magic is working in HART House now, where all the housings are finding opportunities to work with each other, to work on tangible or intangible artworks here. So I think I look forward to it. And in particular, in May, we have a space shuffler, and so everyone would can see all the works that they are working now in the studio. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Actually, building on that thoughts, we have one of our biggest programs is specifically about encouraging creators to collaborate with each other, like new first-time collaborations from different disciplines. So the program is actually called Encounters Across Cultures. So actually, apart from the discipline, multidiscipline, there's also the idea of connecting creators from different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. So sharing this image here was our program in 2019, well, 2 years ago already, where one of the collaborations, for example, in Hong Kong, we actually had video artist Katya Lohar collaborating with Thierry Chow, who is designer, also feng shui master here in Hong Kong. And actually, it was a very interesting exchange, and to see them connecting on the concepts of the elements, like what as a philosophical foundation for the universe, and coming at it from different perspectives, both in the concept, but also in ways of creation. Well, in this image, actually, Thierry participated in the video itself of this video artist. So she donned these different looks that were inspired by each of the elements, and she was part of the art itself, and she also consulted on the placement of these video artworks in the different parts of the upper house based on, the good feng shui, which piece should be in which corner. So that was really fun. And we're still continuing to create a new iteration of this program, Encounters Across Cultures. And actually, with the pandemic, this has become even more challenging, but also more significant, actually, because of the idea of connecting and collaborating across places is even more precious and valuable now. So we are still pressing on with this. I can't reveal details yet, but we have something very exciting planned for later this year.
For me, I just always get very excited. We're lucky we have this annual art prize that really reaches artists from all over Asia and the Pacific. So for us, I think it's just always seeing what's coming next. It's done 18 years of this now, so it's pretty crazy, like looking back and seeing the development of art. And I mean, for us, more from a logistical point of view, we can only really work in 2D, and now we accept some sculptures, so we can't be is kind of, we can't go that extra step, with like you guys, because we don't have the venues and stuff. But yeah, it's always really interesting to see which countries become more represented each year. Suddenly we'll just have a whole lot that come in from Pakistan. This year we have quite a lot that come in from Australia. So yeah, each year brings sort of new surprises for us. So that's always really exciting.
I think Zaneta's connection just died.
Oh, no. I can see the questions, so if you want to, I can see there's one here.
You can read the questions, Tiffany.
Yeah, I'll read the questions. It says, is there or would you consider having an initiative that has an environment conservation goal? Think it's vital to use art and your resources to promote and educate future generations. So you guys working on anything like that? I know if you, maybe I'll just answer sort of part of that question. I know for us, especially through our Make It Better program, so the work that we do with children, we definitely have an environment component to it. So we basically work up break up our expressive arts workshops into different modules, and it's all meant to be about expression and building confidence and being able to communicate better. So I know for us, we break it down into sort of exploring ourselves, exploring our relationships, exploring our community, but then we also very much have one for the environment. And what we do with that is we take the kids all out to the parks, we get them to make artworks with nature, we get them to immerse themselves in nature. And it is a really important thing. It is a really great resource to teach future generations, but also a lot of the children that we work with and a lot of these wonderful children, they also don't get a lot of exposure to it. It's just, you know, take them to the parks, take them to the beaches and stuff. It's just, you can see with their reactions. So yeah, I think art's definitely a very powerful message, a conveyor of messages. Yeah, there goes Zaneta. I just took over for you for a minute.
Oh no, thank you. Hi, I'm back. Sorry. For some reason, my connection just died.
Yeah.
New normal, hey.
Yes, yes.
Are we on
to the last question then?
Does anybody else want to answer it, or has everybody already answered it while I was trying to figure out how to get back in here?
We're just getting started. I was going to say that like Kaduri Farm is actually, I'm really liking what Kaduri Farm is doing there. Of course, what they're doing with the environment and education aspect is already amazing, like so wonderful, and also how much they tailor that experience to kids, different audiences as well. And of course, they have art as part of the experience there, which is very interesting as well, with the current installation by Zheng Bo too. And as for us, we do have various art initiatives that consider this question and raise awareness of these issues as well. I think it's last year or maybe the year before that Swire Properties worked with the artist Derek Melander and also Redress. So using the discarded clothing as his medium to create sculptures and these beautiful forms that actually make you think about what happens to these objects once you've discarded them. But there's so much more still that can be done.
Yeah. And for our artists in HART House, they are advocates to environmental conservation. So a lot of their artworks made here, and also the programs that they created here for the public, they are so conscious about that. So about material use, about the practices, about the processing of things, they always stress on that. And also, I think every one of you know about our corporate project in Gong, Hawaii, and is about heritage conservation. So all aspects and all levels of developments in the corporate, we always stress on that, and in particular the art practices in the studio.
I'm interested to know, given that I think there are no new questions right now, so I'm allowed an extra one. How do your initiatives leverage key moments of the year, like Art Basel, like Art Central, in order to bring forth your message or to amplify your message?
Usually we actually, as a hotel, we're actually a little less ambitious with our art projects at that time because we're so busy with guests and space is at a premium. Yeah. But we work with gallery partners like Lehman Maupin to bring very interesting pieces from their artists in our space, as well as other partners, of course, and as well as having speaker events with various thought leaders in the space. So it is, I think, for us generally around Art Basel time tends to be more short duration events because there's so much going on all around town already. So it is about kind of what more can we add value? What more to bring to the community?
Yeah, and for HART, I would like to say a big thank you to my teammates. We are a team of 4, Polly, Dorcas, Leo, and I. And besides all the activations we have in the studio, we have also a program working with an NGO And so the riches and the very intimate kind of dialogues and activation and happenings are all, you know, it's so packed in May, starting in
Yeah.
May. So I would say, look forward to seeing you guys in our guided tour in the studio, as well as maybe in the future in some of our partnerships. You will meet us again, because we have a lot of partners, and especially with NGO, social enterprises, and and collaborators.
So for us as well, it's always a busy month, so it's always a really busy time. And again, like Jeannie, we've also got a small team, so I think everybody's going to be very tired by the end of May, especially seeing now we've got the exhibition for 2 weeks before actually Art Central and everything like that happens. So that's going to be quite tiring, but it's exciting. It's what we sort of work towards for the year, so everybody's kind of really pumped up. And I think this year having the opportunity to show our finalists at Art Central really helps us broaden our platform so much wider, you know, because one of the things that we really want to do as part of the aims of the prize is to really try to bring additional exposure to these artists. So, you know, the artists that we encourage to come and enter into the prize, they all need to be nominated into it, but they're all generally mid-career artists, and they're kind of quite well known in their own countries, but maybe have a little bit less international exposure. So by being able to use a platform like Art Central, you know, it really brings them and highlights their work, and sort of brings a little bit more appreciation to them. So that's going to be good. And we also run a lot of family programs. You know, we do a lot of things with kids. We're partnering with K11 and Ned and Toof, and we're also developing our own little art passports for kids to be able to work through the exhibition. So, you know, we can make it fun. It's about inspiring engagement in art and inspiring, you know, creativity for young people, I think, you know, especially. So, you know, that's just what we try to do, and use these sort of art fairs and stuff as a platform to be able to do that.
We have another question. Personally, is there a specific artwork you would like to see curated in public?
There's quite a few out there.
Hard to choose.
What about top 5? Let's go with top 5.
Would love to see Team Lab in Hong Kong.
Oh,
I'm sure everyone would love.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I would love to see them here. I would love to see them do something massive here. Yeah.
Possibly post-pandemic. I guess, like, to go back to what everyone was talking about, which was the idea of adding value. I mean, everyone basically was talking about how to add value in different ways. And when it comes to this sort of thing, innovation is constantly required, because you have to present in new, fresh, compelling ways. How are you looking to continue to add value in what you do?
I know, sorry, I'm just sort of to go on from in my ideal world, if we had like a limitless budget, I would love, I mean, for me, in terms of engagement with the public and children, it would really be to bring Team Lab into Hong Kong.
That's my idea.
I know, but set something up with all of our beneficiaries and get them really involved. So immersive. Like, I love what they do. Maybe Clarissa, maybe we can do something with Swire.
Yeah,
All right.
Then I will write on this opportunity to ask Team Lab to collaborate with my artists and to train docents to, you know, do something together.
Yeah.
And the next art month is in March, so really it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe next year's art month. Then we need to get them to come over. So.
Oh yes. What about travel? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. If there aren't any more questions, is there anything else you'd like to add on top of what we've discussed today?
I kind of would love to ask both Jeannie and Tiffany about what challenges you guys have had in terms of installing or displaying art in spaces that are not art spaces to begin with.
We're pretty resourceful. It's The team that I've got seem to be really good at just making it work somehow. I think it's just, I think we've had like the tiniest of booths at an art fair to show like our school's prize, and they've managed to do it so much so that we've pretty much covered every single panel that we have that's just covered in art, but it still manages to look really good. So but yeah, I guess there are some limitations, but with us that's kind of also one of the reasons with the art prize that and the terms of the art prize for entering, and I think we need to apply this more specifically for Hong Kong, is that we put a size restriction on the works, and we do that specifically because logistically it's just really hard here, and because we sell the works to benefit the artists and our charitable projects, we need to be able to sell them to people in Hong Kong that also have space. So it's not even just about the venue that we're working within, but also who our client might be. And if we're talking about Hong Kong, we need to kind of make it work. So we put a limitation on that, but that it is mainly more specific for Hong Kong, but so that we can be a bit more flexible in terms of being able to exhibit.
For us, I think the artists are really good at adapting their works, I would say, and they always work out something using their creativity, facing a lot of different limitations. So the challenges for us is not too much about these practical technical issues. It's more about how to make impact out from it. And so displaying, exhibiting the art, presenting them is very challenging to think of some very useful and practical ways of engaging the public. And this is really challenging, and we besides keeping on to discuss and find inspirations from local talents, I would say the cross-disciplinary and cross-communal exchange and dialogues are very useful as well, because we just, for visual artists, they don't always have solutions. They sometimes have to talk to performance art people, talk to architects, even talk to you guys from corporate. So it's more about ongoing dialogue making, I would say.
Yeah, and further to your point also, the challenge of communicating, because sometimes even when the work itself, when the work itself has really fantastic, interesting ideas, it is always a challenge to condense that in a way that it's quickly understandable, digestible, relevant to and a broader audience who are not looking to engage with art. So that's a big challenge always. But I think that's also one thing that corporates are in a way have a certain have more resources in a way to work on that, to bridge that gap in communications.
Yeah, and also in the future, soon, I hope we can have more activities and panel on these, especially to strengthen the communications among different people on art appreciation, on critics, because creative always need comments and feedbacks, honest feedback to evolve and develop. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I think, there's a thank you. I think that's all the time we have, and we've answered all the questions from the audience. So thank you for attending today. Thank you for the audience for listening in, and hope to see everyone next time or around town.
I think we'll probably all see each other next month.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll see Jeannie tonight
Hey.
at class.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.